Shalom, everyone. We are now in the days of the war of Sha'agat Ha'ari. We're not going to meet everyone in Bet Knesset this Shabbat, but even if we have a small minyan, it's not going to be everyone meeting and learning Torah together. So I'm taking this opportunity to record a Dvar Torah for Parshat Tisa, and we can all, in this way, not physically all together, spiritually, all of us together can study this Dvar Torah. It's actually broadening the same idea that I put in the short video that I do every week. So those who saw the video, nonetheless, there's more to see in this broader perspective on the same topic. And if you didn't see the video, so here you're getting the broader picture. And here we go. I'm going to share the screen so that we can see the psukim. They're in Hebrew, but I will explain the Dvar Torah in English. And here we go. Okay, got to go back to the beginning. Here we are. The Torah says about Am Yisrael that Am Yisrael is a stiff-necked people. Am kshe orif. The Torah says this. Hashem says it. Moshe says it. Right here in Parshat Tisa at least 4 times. The first time is because of Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf. Moshe is on Har Sinai. He's there for 40 days and 40 nights. He gets the Luchot with Aseret HaDibrot from Hashem. And then Hashem says to him, you know what? They made a golden calf. And Hashem says, this is their gratitude. I took them out of Mitzrayim, the 10 Aseret HaMakot, Kriyat Yamsuf, bringing them to Ma'amad Har Sinai, and then they make a golden calf. They are, see, it says it right here, they are an Am Kshe Orif. This is what Hashem says to Moshe. That's in Perek Lamed Bet, chapter 32. In Perek Lamed Gimel, we find it another 2 times. Because Hashem says to Moshe, they are going to go into Eretz Yisrael, into the land of the Knaani and all the other nations, and they're going to have difficulties there. And I am going to send a malach, maybe an angel, maybe an emissary. I'm going to send someone with them. Sounds positive if Hashem says he's going to send someone with us, but in Pasuk Gimel, Hashem explains, I am not going with you. I'm going to send a malach. Ki lo e'ele bekirbecha. I am not going to come because you are an am kshe orif. You're a stiff-necked people. I'm not going to come with you. I'm going to send an emissary instead of coming myself. Instead of Hashem being closely with us. When we come into Eretz Yisrael, he has his hashgacha. He's watching over us from afar, so to speak. Why? Because he says, otherwise I might be so angry because you're such a stiff-necked people, and I might harm you, I might even kill you. So it's better for you if I send an emissary and I don't come myself. The people are upset about this, but Hashem says to Moshe, no, this is what is going to be. So because you're a stiff-necked people, Hashem doesn't always want to be dwelling directly, closely within Am Yisrael. When we get to Perek Lamed Daled, another chapter ahead, chapter 34, Hashem says to Moshe the 13 attributes of mercy, Rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, rav chesed, all of those. And then Moshe says to Hashem, please, in Pasuk Tet, please, yelechna Adonai b'kirbeinu, please Hashem, be within us. Because, why? Because Am Kshe Orifu. How does what Hashem said in Perek Lamed Gimel, that because you're a stiff-necked people, I'm not going to dwell closely within you, how does that become in Perek Lamed Daled the request that Moshe Rabbeinu says, please dwell within us because we're a stiff-necked people? How does that work? So I found 2 explanations. One is in a Perush called Dat Mikra Amos Chacham. He says that originally it was in the time in Perek Lamed Bet, and then in Perek Lamed Gimel. It was right after Chet HaEgel. Now a little time has gone by. Hashem tells Moshe to make the second Luchot. Like at the beginning, the moment of Chet HaEgel, it's like a rift between Hashem and Am Yisrael. When they come back together and there's forgiving, then Moshe says to Hashem, you know what? Maybe now it's time that you should dwell among us because they're a stiff-necked people and they need guidance. They need you, and you're the only one, Hashem, who can guide them and be strict with them when it's necessary, so that even though they're stiff-necked people, they won't stray afar from the right way. So that's one explanation. The Piaseczna Rebbe was a Rebbe near Warsaw, in Piaseczna, which is outside of Warsaw. But then when the Nazis conquered Poland in the beginning of the World War II, He was in Warsaw with the Jews under the Nazi rule. And he asks this question in Parashat Noach. I won't get into it now why Parashat Noach. It has to do with making a distinction between Noach and Abraham, but we'll leave that aside right now. I'll just say that he said this on Parashat Noach Tafshin Aleph, which is the end of 1940, which is more than a year after the Nazis conquered Poland. The Nazis conquered Poland in September 39, and this is already the end. It's like October or November 1940. So this is more than a year after the Nazis conquered and took over. It's more than a year under the Nazi rule, and it's already the beginning of the Warsaw Ghetto. So in the ghetto, he speaks to the Jews, and listen to what he says. He says being stiff-necked is a very great trait. Ma'alat tova. It's a great trait. Because if you're not stiff-necked, you're wishy-washy. Yeah, once you say A, once you say B, no one can trust you. Once you say you're going to perform the mitzvot of Hashem, and once you don't. But if you're a kshei oref, if you're a stiff-necked person, you're strong. If a trial, an nisayon comes your way, you will withstand that trial. If you promise something, you will keep your word, you will keep your promise. You are trustworthy. And that's why this trait of being stiff-necked, it can be positive, it can be negative. Bnei Israel were using it in a negative way, but it can be used in a positive way. And that's why he says, Moshe is saying to Hashem, we need your help. If you forgive them, if you come with them and guide them, then they will be able to use their character, their trait of being stiff-necked in a positive way and not in a negative way. So Hashem, please come with us. Please be close with Am Yisrael. And then we hope that they will be able to use their trait of being stiff-necked in a way that will be positive and not negative. Again, this is the Piaseczna Rebbe of Klonimus Kalman Shapira speaking to the Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto. He's saying to them, be strong. This is the time, if we're a stiff-necked people, we've used it negatively in many times in history. Now is the time to use it in a positive way to withstand the trial that we are going through now. That's a very powerful thing to say. It's a very difficult thing to hear. But if the Rebbe could say that in the Warsaw Ghetto, of course we can say that today in Medinat Israel. We're in a war. It's difficult. We have sirens. People have been hurt. But we are standing up as a nation. We are strong. We will withstand this trial. We are not giving in. We are going to be an Am Kshei Oref in the positive sense. And we are going to make it through this challenge. And when we were hit on Simchat Torah, October 7th, we were hit very hard. But since then, because we're a stiff-necked people, we don't give up. We don't just back off and go away. We withstand that. We stand strongly. We return a war against our very cruel enemies. And we show that we are strong and steadfast. And that's the positive side of being a stiff-necked people. And that brings it to something which is very relevant today. The Nevi'im, the prophets, many times describe the past of how Bnei Israel were stiff-necked, but also say to them, you're still stiff-necked throughout history, not only in the time of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Yeshayahu mentions it, Yirmiyahu mentions it, that in different ways they were stiff-necked in different times, and they didn't listen to the prophets, and they didn't listen to what they told them. Here's an example. Yirmiyahu says to Bnei Israel, if you keep Shabbat, that will strengthen Yerushalayim. But the previous generations were stiff-necked and they didn't listen to what Hashem commanded them to keep Shabbat, and it weakened Yerushalayim. But if you will not be stiff-necked like the generations before, and you will keep Shabbat, then Yerushalayim will go stronger. But then 2 chapters later, he has to say, I'm sorry. You act with that trait of being stiff-necked. You didn't listen to Hashem, and Yerushalayim is going to suffer because of that. And Nehemiah, in the time of Israel, Nehemiah, in the time of Beit Sheni, the beginning of the Second Temple, also says how throughout history Am Yisrael acted in stiff-necked ways. And in Sefer Divrei Hayamim, Chizkiyahu calls upon the people of the northern kingdom of Israel not to be stiff-necked like previous generations. So we see that it's not only something that was in the past at the time of Yetziat Mitzrayim, it's something that accompanies Am Yisrael throughout our history, being stiff-necked sometimes in a negative way and sometimes in a positive way. And not only in Parashat Tisa and Sefer Shmot is it mentioned that Am Yisrael is an Am Kshei Oref. Moshe Rabbeinu mentions it 4 more times in Sefer Dvarim. Moshe, when he's summing up his 40 years of leadership of Am Yisrael, he says, I know that you were a stiff-necked people. Here it is in Dvarim Perek Tet. Ki am kshei oref ata. When we came, you're going to go into Eretz Yisrael without me. Moshe is not going to enter into Eretz Yisrael. He's not going to cross the Yarden. You're going in, and I know you're a stiff-necked people, and watch out, because if you don't listen to Hashem, you're not going to be able to dwell in Eretz Yisrael properly. He says it to them twice in Perek Tet. Here's one, and here's the other one. And he reminds them of a series of sins that they performed in different places, in Tav'era, in Masa, in Kivrot HaTa'ava. He reminds them about Chet HaEgel that we mentioned before, the sin of the golden calf. And he reminds them about Chet HaMeraglim, of the spies. Again, it was an action that came from being stiff-necked. And I know that you're very stiff-necked. And if you go into Eretz Yisrael and you don't adhere to Hashem, you behave with that stiff neck, then it's not going to be good. So I'm calling upon you, says Moshe, to stop being stiff-necked. And then in Perek Yud, he says to them, you're a stiff-necked people, and please, 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 I hear Moshe calling out to Bnei Israel, please, ve'or pechem lo takshu od. Please stop being stiff-necked. Stop this trait, because I know you've been this way, but please stop it, because if you don't, you're going to suffer, and I don't want you to suffer. And the last time that Moshe mentions this is in Perek Lamed Aleph, almost the end of the Torah, almost the end of Sefer Dvarim. Before the chapter of Shirat HaAzinu, where Moshe gives them the song, which is Parashat HaAzinu, and he's guiding them what to do. There will be ups and downs in Jewish history. And he says to them, I know you've done bad things in the past, you've made mistakes. And I know, says Moshe, you will sin in the future. Has Moshe's mission failed? Has his leadership in Am Yisrael failed? They are going to sin again in the future. Moshe knows this. Hashem says it to him. Moshe says it to the people of Israel, to Bnei Israel. I know that you're going to sin in the future because you are an Am Kshei Oref. I know that you have a stiff neck. V'torpecha kasher. Even when I was alive leading you, you act with a stiff neck sometimes. So I know it's going to continue. Is Moshe in despair? Has he given up on Am Yisrael? No. He's saying to them, I know that you have this trait, but I'm begging you to stop having that trait of being stiff-necked. Or maybe if we follow the Piaseczna Rebbe, he's saying to them, stop using it in a negative way. Use it in a positive way. I'm not giving up on you. There are going to be ups and downs in Jewish history after I'm gone, because sometimes you act like a stiff-necked people in a negative way. And then there are downs, but you don't give up. Other nations would have given up long ago. You don't give up. You're stiff-necked in the positive sense. And you come up, you rise again. And that's Am Yisrael in our generation after the Shoah. After Simchat Torah, October 7th, we always rise up again. But now it is our mission to use our trait of being stiff-necked, not in a negative way, only in a positive way. As I finished the video that I sent yesterday, I'll say now here again, not within Am Yisrael. Being stiff-necked is not in arguments within Am Yisrael with our brothers and sisters that we have disagreements sometimes. We have to be warm and loving towards one another and argue. We have to argue strongly, but not with a stiff neck, not being negative personally towards one another, not using our stiff neck towards Hashem, using our stiff neck towards cruel enemies who try to destroy us. And in times of trial, of a war that we're facing now, these are the times to take out our trait of being stiff-necked and use it positively. Always use our trait of being stiff-necked. Don't use it negatively. Use it positively. This is the message that I take from Sefer Shmot, Parshat Tisa, and from the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim later on, and from the use that Moshe, the messages of Moshe about being a stiff-necked people in Sefer Dvarim, putting it all together. It can be a negative trait, it can be a positive trait. Don't use it in the negative way. Use it in the positive way. Shabbat Shalom, Besorot Tovot, and only good things. This war should bring good things for Am Yisrael and peace to the world. Be'ezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.